Yeah, yeah. I'm not, yeah. Yeah, so. Speak for the mic, please.
Okay. One, two, three.
Okay, good, good. Just gonna leave it recording. And that's recording. Just frame slightly. There we go. Okay, continue.
Okay, so the story of Jack and the Beanstalk, part two. I'll pick up where Jack was exploring the neighbors' gardens in our neighborhood up the hill. He related this to me later. Of course, I didn't know about it at the time, but he borrowed, shall we say, the landscaping lights from several homeowners' property up the street with the intention of returning them later, which I hope and trust that he did. But he told me that he disconnected those lights and used them for his grow lights, which they worked better than his wildest hopes in growing his beanstalk, shall we say. And several months later, he harvested that and was elated without testing his product, and even more elated, as you can imagine, after successfully testing his product. And this was before the boom in home marijuana cultivation in San Francisco that has occurred since that story happened. That's another anecdote from my book, Cathedral Hill.
That's very funny. Oh my God. That's such an interesting story. Wow. I'm just going to ask if you could try not to look at the camera.
Oh, sure.
It's okay for that because you're kind of speaking, you're kind of telling the story.
Yeah.
But just try to talk to me as much as possible.
Okay.
Which I know you're going to glance over at, I guess.
I have to just lean this way.
But just look at me as much as you can.
Okay.
That'd be great. Thanks. Let me ask, what have you found the most enjoyable about working here over the period of time that you've been here?
Oh, that's an easy question. The most enjoyable aspect of working at the Monroe Hotel Residence Club is meeting all the different people and interacting with them, people from around the world. I have friends now that I never would have had in a different job than this. But I have friends all over the world. I have friends in Germany, Japan, China, all over Europe and Asia, Australia, Tasmania, New Zealand, all over the United States, especially in New York, because for some reason my fellow employees who worked here from 1 up to 10 years, there are at least a dozen of them that now live in the state of New York and some in New York City. Part of the reason is because they came here to California and eventually arrived in San Francisco, liked it at the time because it was the opposite of where they'd grown up, and they loved the liberal aspects. They'd enjoyed that to a degree in New York City as well. So this was a natural place for them to live and work and go to school, which they did. They completed their schooling, and then they eventually moved back to New York. We stay in touch all the time now because it's so easy to do on the internet and Facebook especially. So, and it was very gratifying to see that our formerly run-down city hospital, San Francisco General Hospital, was completely rehabilitated and reborn as a state-of-the-art trauma center, now called Zuckerberg San Francisco General Hospital. And that hospital was completed in the past year, and it's the most modern hospital that I've ever seen or been in. And it's very gratifying that our time on Facebook, going through advertisements and responding to one here and there, paid off locally in such a big way to benefit everyone in the community.
That's wonderful, yeah. At least we have that to go by Facebook.
Yes,
It's not a complete waste of time.
that's right.
No, I enjoy Facebook actually very much. Do you know anything about the foundation of this building in the sense how it started, what the year it started?
Yes, yeah, well, yes. This hotel, Monroe Hotel, was built in 1906. The construction was started, as I mentioned at the beginning, in early 1906. It was interrupted by the earthquake, but the foundation had been laid and fixed after the earthquake. The construction of this building was completed in the fall, I believe November of 1906. What the interesting part of that is that the first owner, which I have to do more research to be able to tell you who that first owner was, because there have been many owners. But the first owner spent a considerable amount of money at the time, in the early 1900s, to import specialized materials from around the world to be used in the construction of this hotel. It's been part of the charm and the appeal of this hotel, this building, ever since November of 1906. And one main feature is when you enter the lobby of the Monroe, you immediately notice the luxurious and aesthetically pleasing qualities of the wood paneling and the solid wood construction. It's dark, it glows without much polishing of any kind. It's just the natural glow of dark mahogany wood imported from India. It came around Cape Horn from India in 1905 and came via the transportation of the time, which were clipper ships, the Yankee clipper ships, they called them. Those ships transported all of the wood that's used in the construction of the lobby in the Monroe. And that's the first focal point that people see and recognize when they come into the Monroe. And the charm of the Monroe hits them as soon as they notice that wood, because it's very unusual and very iconic, shall we say.
It certainly hit me. First time I walked in here, I was like, oh, what is this wood? And I hadn't known that. That's absolutely incredible.
Yes.
That's where the wood originated.
The only other building I've been to and that I've been in the Bay Area that has this kind of dark mahogany wood that you notice immediately, it was called the British Bankers Club in Palo Alto, I believe it was. And I recognize that immediately because it's the same wood as the Monroe's lobby. And that's part of why that establishment, the British Bankers Club in Palo Alto, was so popular. It was because of their very appealing wood.
Wow, very fascinating. Do you know if this has been a residence club the entire length of its?
This, to my knowledge, this has been the Monroe Hotel, which is still known as the Monroe Residence Club, but formerly was exclusively known as the Monroe Residence Club, came into being in the 1960s, and it was purchased by the family that still owns it, the Lieberman family, and it was basically, as it is now, it was a residence hotel. People from all walks of life came here. Those hotels back then were known also as boarding houses, and boarding house is a term that comes from actually back to the gold rush era in the late 1840s and early 1850s. Boarding houses were the places to stay that were inexpensive but yet provided decent meals to their residents for a very affordable price at the time. And so the family that purchases, the Liebermans, kept that formula and it proved to be very successful and still is to this day.
And they still own it.
They still own it, yes.
Wow.
Successfully so, yes.
Tremendous. That's like, what, 3, 4 generations worth?
Yes, yes it is.
At least.
Yes.
That is, wow. I would love to talk to him too.
Mhm.
Or them.
Sure.
Yeah.
The owner, the managing owner is Michael Lieberman. Michael Lieberman. He has an office at Goff and Post and Goff. Right across the street, or right down the street from his flagship hotel. We call it the flagship because it's the biggest, has the most rooms. It's the most luxuriously appointed hotel. It's all senior citizens. So I refer to it as a luxury senior hotel. And wonderful food, grand piano in the lobby,
That's very cool.
room service.
I was about to ask something and then went out of my mind.
Something about Michael Lieberman? No?
I think, yeah. How long, so he's above James then?
Yes, he is James's, he's everyone's
Everyone.
ultimate
Yeah.
boss, yes.
Is there anyone in between him and James? I'm just curious.
No, James is the general manager of all 4 hotels in the small family-owned chain. Broadmoor is the flagship. The Monroe is the most profitable hotel. The Kenmore is the same size as the Monroe, 75 rooms. It sits on Cathedral Hill, just a little bit on the other side of Cathedral Hill above Japantown on Sutter Street. And just a stone's throw from the Broadmoor that's at Goff and Sutter. And the 4th hotel is the Granada, located at Hyde and Sutter. So 3 hotels located in different blocks on Sutter Street. And one is on Nob Hill, actually, the Granada is on Nob Hill. And the other 3, the hotels are on Cathedral Hill.
And the Liebermans own all of
The
them?
Liebermans own all 4, yes. And there used to be at least 2 other hotels in the chain. The Gaylord downtown on Jones Street, Jones and O'Farrell, was sold a few years ago, 10 years ago. And the other hotel was also located at Larkin and Sutter. Larkin and Sutter.
Okay. I've actually been to the Gaylord. I have a friend who lives
Really?
there. Yeah,
Wow, okay.
lives there now. It's a nice one too. It's really
It
nice.
is.
Very expensive.
Marble floor. Marble.
Yeah, it's all marble. It's very cool.
The other hotel it starts with an H. It's called the, I rarely go past there anymore, but it's H. I always have trouble with that.
No worries. Do you know why they originally called this the Monroe, or was there a name before that? And
there were many names of the building before, many businesses that were different names before that, yes. That would take quite a bit more research than I've done for my book. But, yes, it used to be a bordello. I think one of the original uses of this building was as a bordello, but, shall we say, a higher class bordello, because the Tenderloin is fortunately far enough away from here where you don't notice it from up on Cathedral Hill, but most of the bordellos in the city used to be either in the Tenderloin or down by the waterfront, starting from 1848.
wow.
Gold Rush started.
That's interesting. Was it a bordello from the first, when it was constructed all the way until?
I don't believe it was a bordello to begin with. No. It was more respectable establishment.
I'm just curious.
To begin with, but I'm not sure exactly what. It could have been a gentleman's club, which is like a British banking club, specialty club.
Do you know why the building is called the Monroe? Why they originally called it that?
Well, of Marilyn Monroe, but I don't believe that has anything to do with it. I believe the reason is because of President James Monroe? President Monroe. That's why, because President Monroe is one of the presidents, all of this, not all of the streets, but many of the streets in San Francisco, especially the